What's up, Lore Masters? As I've discussed and alluded to in the last video, before the Second Battle of Chintoka, things had been at basically a stalemate, with the Federation Alliance ever so slowly encroaching on Dominion territory. Even with the Federation winning, marginally, it was turning out to be a very slow, very bloody affair. The Alliance was losing men and women at a startling rate, and ships were often not returning after being dispatched. Remember, Chintoka was never firmly in the hands of the Federation Alliance. Attack, retreat, to attack again. An area of space would seemingly go back and forth several times before finally not being challenged again. And at the end of the day, this bloodshed was for nothing. The siege of AR-558, where we watched security officers, command officers, and engineers die for a piece of technology on a rock somewhere in space, somewhere so remote that it didn't even have a name, would ultimately be reclaimed by the Dominion. And all we watched in that episode, all of that breakdown, was for nothing. Bashir was proving to be right. The clues that the tide was changing were there. The first hint was the Breen Assault on Starfleet Command. This attack was really interesting. In the past, I wondered why the Breen didn't just use their energy dissipators during the assault. However, a lot of people countered that these weapons were a great ace in the hole and something that one would want to keep hidden for as long as possible. So not using the device here makes sense at this point. Though I still counter that it's confusing and makes no sense that these weapons weren't known until the war. But that's neither here nor there. What is interesting to consider is the way the Breen attacked, and really it fits the modus operandi of the Dominion. I'm aware that there is dialogue that appears nefarious, but looking at the works of the Dominion as a whole, generally, the way the dictators handle the various species is to gain control of the governments and militaries, pacify them, and ensure loyalty. And then, ultimately give the people what they want and let them live in general peace as long as they play by the rules of the founders. People of the Dominion can enjoy whatever freedoms they wanted as long as those freedoms included bending the knee. The Dominion wasn't above punishing entire civilizations, don't get me wrong, and indeed they weren't above attacking civilian targets, we've seen that. But if they could do it without that necessity and gain popular support among the citizenry, that's the way they generally go. This is reflected in the Earth attack. As we see, and as dialogue indicates, only Starfleet Command and military installations were hit. This could serve multiple purposes. It striked fear in the populace while also appearing to be somewhat moral. After all, if they bypassed the security and were able to get so close, they could just hit softer targets than the headquarters of Starfleet and use much more effective weapons. Remember, phasers and photon torpedoes can take out entire planets. It's just a thought. As stated, the attack on Starfleet Command was just the beginning. The combined fleets of the Dominion, Cardassians, and Breen conducted a massive counterattack, breaking through on two different fronts at Chintoka. All Allied ships were forced to retreat and meet up with reinforcements. The three powers brought as many vessels as they could muster, at least 312 Allied vessels. The Federation Alliance re-entered into the Chintoka system and did draw first blood against the Dominion fleet, firing on all fronts. However, the Breen would utilize their new weapons, disabling the fleet within minutes. 311 ships disabled or destroyed. The founders ultimately opted not to kill the survivors as they tried to escape so that they could spread fear among the Federation, Romulan, and Klingon Empire. In the aftermath, it would be determined that there was no defense against this new weapon yet, well, save for a Klingon design flaw that could be replicated in other Klingon ships. That would mean that only the Klingons could effectively defend against the Dominion, roughly 1,500 ships, against 30,000. Basically 20 to 1. The plan for the Klingons would be simple, but hopefully effective. Small battle groups of Klingon ships engage in hit-and-run operations, trying to keep the Dominion off balance and to prevent an all-out attack. It was hoped that this, combined with the internal struggles of the rebellion, would keep them off their feet. It might actually stop them for a while. We'll break down the rebellion more in a later episode. Personally, this plan still seems confusing. Even if we assume that they would take significant damage, why would the Dominion care? The fleets are just assets to them. The solids are just things to be used. Attack with everything you got, even if it costs you a third of your fleet, you'd still win. The only thing that can stop you is the amount of space you have to cover and time. Remember, the Federation is a large area, but it's now uncontested for all intents and purposes. Even send olive branches to the Ferengi, the Romulans, the Klingons, and the Federation individually and see if one will turn on the other. Why the Dominion never took advantage of this seems like a massive blunder. Honestly, I see no reason for them not to push forward, even with the plan to stall them. However, I guess I'll leave that to the annals of time, or a YouTube comment section. Either way, stay tuned as we take an in-depth look at the Cardassian Rebellion on the next Lore Reloaded. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I have a favor to ask you. With this time of year, and of course the apocalypse happening outside, YouTubers are getting hit pretty hard. If less than 1% of everyone who watches my channel every month gave $1, I would be set and not have to worry about the YouTube advertising. This would help me feed my kids as well as make content that you guys love, so please consider going to patreon.com/Lore Reloaded or becoming a YouTube member. I really appreciate anything you guys can do. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.